Yeah, I feel great and of course happy with the win today, happy with the level I played, and yeah, tough opponent and happy to be through.
The All England Club, center court. The grass is immaculate. The roof is open, letting in the golden light of a perfect London afternoon. And in the royal box, the tennis world is watching history unfold. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, the four-time Grand Slam champion, the overwhelming favorite to win her maiden Wimbledon crown. She has spent 86 consecutive weeks atop the women's game. She has seen it all. She has beaten the best. She has conquered the biggest stages in tennis. But today, she is not on the court. She is watching from the shadows, and what she is witnessing is something she never expected. Iga Swiatek, the defending champion, the six-time Grand Slam winner, the woman who, just 12 months ago, had walked off this same court as the first Polish champion in Wimbledon history. She was supposed to be invincible. She was supposed to be unstoppable. But standing across the net is a 21-year-old from Quezon City who has already beaten her before. A player who, just 16 months ago, had dismantled Swiatek in Miami. A player who grew up hitting a tennis ball on a makeshift court painted over a basketball court. A player who wears a cap with an inscription that reads, "Once it grows, it cannot be stopped." Alexandra Eala. Sabalenka watches as the first set stretches to 84 minutes. She watches as Eala saves 2 set points. She watches as the Filipina sensation takes the tiebreak 11-9. She watches as Eala races to a 4-0 lead in the second set. She watches as the defending champion crumbles. And then the final point. A forehand winner. Eala collapses to her knees on center court. The crowd erupts. The Filipino flags wave. Aryna Sabalenka couldn't believe what she was seeing. The defending champion had been dethroned. The world number 2, Aryna Sabalenka, had also crashed out. The draw had blown wide open, and Sabalenka, the world number 1, was left speechless. She had just watched a 21-year-old from the Philippines do the unthinkable. This is the story of that moment. This is the story of how Alexandra Eala stunned the world. And this is the story of how even the world number 1 couldn't believe what she saw. Let, S begin. On Saturday, July 4th, 2026, Alexandra Eala walked onto center court at Wimbledon as the number 29 seed. She was the first Filipina in history to be seeded at a Grand Slam tournament. But she was also a player who had lost in the first round at Wimbledon the previous year. The pressure was immense. The expectations were enormous. Standing across the net was Iga Swiatek, the defending champion, the 6-time Grand Slam winner, a player who had not lost a match on center court since she lifted the Venus Rosewater dish 12 months ago. Swiatek struck first, breaking Eala's serve to take a 2-1 lead. But Eala immediately broke back. The momentum swung back and forth in a riveting opening set that would last 84 minutes. Eala broke again for 5-3. She held her first set point. But Swiatek locked in, producing 3 consecutive forehand winners to escape and level at 5-5. The tiebreak was a thriller. Eala built a 5-2 lead. Swiatek fought back with a 4-point run to reach set point. Eala saved that with an unreturned serve. She saved another as Swiatek netted a forehand. Finally, on her 4th set point, Eala sealed it as Swiatek mishit a forehand long. 7-6, 11-9. The crowd erupted. The impossible was becoming real. The second set was a statement. Eala pressed her foot to the floor. She raced to a 4-0 lead. Her left-handed angles repeatedly pulled Swiatek out of position. Swiatek's quality dipped in and out as she rescued one of the breaks and gave it away in the next game. Swiatek finished the match with 44 unforced errors. Eala was the braver of the pair on the break points. The final point was fitting, a long forehand from the frustrated Pole. 7-6, 9, 6-2. Alexandra Eala had done the unthinkable. She dropped to her knees and rolled onto her back on center court after hitting a forehand winner on her 3rd match point. She gestured for more noise from the crowd. The defending champion had been dethroned. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. The crowd on center court was a sea of Filipino flags. Thousands of fans had traveled from across the globe. Nurses from Birmingham, engineers from Berlin, students from Melbourne, families from Toronto, each one carrying a flag, each one chanting her name. It's incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on and knowing that we're all in this together, Eala said in her on-court interview. This goes out to them, this goes out to my family, this goes out to all the little girls with ruffled socks and chubby cheeks. It means the world. She also reflected on her journey from the makeshift courts of the Philippines to center court. I went to train every day after school with my ruffled socks, light-up shoes, and chubby cheeks. To younger me, this is everything. Eala's victory made her the first player from the Philippines to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam in the Open era. She is now 7-4 against top 10 opponents, including 3-0 on grass this season. She also improved to 2-1 against Swiatek. This is my dream court, Eala said. I don't know how to describe it. Iga is a phenomenal player and a great person. I'm really emotional. Social media exploded. Filipino fans, who had stayed up through the night, were overcome with emotion. The phrase Eala mania began trending across social media. Former pros praised Eala for her courage and determination. 9-time Wimbledon champion Martina Navratilova was left speechless. The Eala effect had reached new heights. While Eala celebrated on center court, someone else was watching from the shadows. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1, the top seed, the overwhelming favorite to win her maiden Wimbledon crown. The player who has spent 86 consecutive weeks atop the women's game. She was supposed to be the story. She was supposed to be the center of attention. She was supposed to be the one everyone was talking about. Instead, all eyes were on a 21-year-old from the Philippines and the sea of Filipino flags that followed her everywhere. Sabalenka had played in front of passionate crowds before. She had felt the energy of center court. She had experienced the pressure of a Grand Slam final. But this was different. This was a phenomenon she had never witnessed. A player who had not yet won a major title was commanding the kind of following that most champions could only dream of. And Sabalenka couldn't believe it. The world number 1 had arrived at Wimbledon with doubts. She had lost deciding sets 6-0 in back-to-back tournaments, a first for any sitting world number 1 since the WTA began keeping records in 1975. She had admitted to wanting to quit tennis after her French Open collapse. She was under immense pressure to finally win the one Grand Slam that had eluded her. And yet, all eyes were on Eala. The numbers told the story. Eala's pre-tournament press conference at the Australian Open was watched by 171,000 people, dwarfing those of Carlos Alcaraz and Coco Gauff, who each drew 29,000, and Aryna Sabalenka, who drew just 9,000. A player ranked outside the top 50 had generated more media interest than the world number 1. Former pros had taken notice. On the Nothing Major podcast, Sam Querrey had posed a question that would have sounded unthinkable a year ago. Was Eala the biggest draw in women's tennis right now? Steve Johnson's answer was blunt. Yes. Bigger than Coco Gauff, bigger than Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka, the queen of women's tennis, was left speechless. She had never seen anything like it, not in Melbourne, not in Paris, not in New York. A player who had not yet won a major title was commanding the kind of attention that most champions could only dream of. And the world number 1 was left wondering, how did this happen? Eala's victory didn't just shock the world. It reshaped the entire Wimbledon tournament. Earlier on the same day, the world number 2, Elena Rybakina, had also crashed out in straight sets, losing to Belgian Elise Mertens. The defending champion and the world number 2 were both eliminated on the same day. The women's draw had been blown wide open. And for Sabalenka, that meant something extraordinary. Sabalenka would now remain as the world number 1, regardless of what happens for the rest of the championships. With just 947 points separating Sabalenka and Rybakina in the world rankings prior to the start of the tournament, Rybakina had to reach at least the quarterfinals to stand any chance of challenging for top spot. Her early exit, combined with Swiatek's defeat, secured Sabalenka's position at the top of the game. Sabalenka, who was scheduled to face Naomi Osaka in the fourth round, suddenly had a much clearer path to the title. But the story wasn't about Sabalenka's ranking, it was about Eala's rise. The 21-year-old from Quezon City had just beaten the defending champion on center court. She had become the first Filipino to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam, and she had set up a fourth-round clash with world number 13 Jasmine Paolini, the 2024 runner-up. Obviously, because I'm emotional does not mean I'm satisfied. So, next round, Eala said, she wasn't done yet. Eala had already beaten Paolini once before, in the Dubai second round earlier this year. The two players were scheduled to face each other in the round of 16 on Monday, July 6th. Eala was the victor in her only previous meeting with Paolini, saving 2 set points in the second set to win 6-1, 7-6, 5. Alexandra Eala's victory over Iga Swiatek was not just a win. It was a statement, a declaration that she had arrived. The implications of the victory were immediate. Eala became the first Filipino player, male or female, to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam singles tournament. She also improved to 7-4 against top 10 opponents, including 3-0 on grass this season. But the victory was about more than rankings. It was about belief. It was about validation. It was about showing the world that a 21-year-old from a country with no grass court tradition could conquer the biggest stage in the sport. I've only dreamed of making tennis grow in the Philippines, and now I'm bringing a whole new audience to tennis around the world, Eala had said. That dream was becoming a reality. The Eala effect had transcended the sport. She was no longer just a tennis player. She was a movement, a symbol of hope, a symbol of what is possible when you refuse to give up. The victory over Swiatek was also a full-circle moment. In 2025, Eala had beaten Swiatek in Miami and launched her career. In 2026, she had beaten her again, on the biggest stage in tennis. Eala had taken Swiatek's graduation speech advice to heart. She was tenacious. She was giving 100%. She had no regrets. And Sabalenka, watching from the shadows, couldn't deny it. A 21-year-old from Quezon City had stolen the spotlight. A player who had beaten the defending champion. A player who was now the biggest story at Wimbledon. The tennis establishment was scrambling to keep up. The Eala effect had forced them to reconsider their assumptions about popularity, marketability, and the business of the sport. Eala no longer needed a title to command attention. She had changed the economics of attention itself. The Filipinos keep surprising me in good ways, Eala said. And she was just getting started. The tennis world was watching. The fans were divided. The debate was raging. But one thing was certain. The Eala effect had arrived. And even the world number 1 couldn't ignore it. Eala ke end pe ye line add karni hai, etc. And that, my friends, is how a 21-year-old from Quezon City walked onto center court and stunned the defending champion, Iga Swiatek, the 6-time Grand Slam winner. The woman who had not lost a match on center court since she lifted the Venus Rosewater dish. But Eala was not afraid. She had beaten her before. She knew she could do it again. And she did. Even Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1, watched in disbelief. She had never seen anything like it, and she couldn't believe what Alexandra Eala had done at Wimbledon, the Eala effect, a phenomenon that has rewritten the rules of tennis, a movement that has brought a nation together. The tennis world is stunned. The organizers are scrambling. And Alexandra Eala is just getting started. This is the rise of a phenomenon. This is the rewriting of tennis history. And trust me, this is only the beginning.